Hi, Eric here. What do you do if you have a motorcycle seat that is just too hard? Well, you can pay someone to modify it. You can pay even more to buy an aftermarket seat, sometimes hundreds of dollars. Or you can do what I'm about to do, which is you can install a gel pad into your motorcycle seat. So what do you need in order to do that? Well, first of all, you need a motorcycle seat that is rock hard. This is my 2016 Ninja 300 seat. It is so uncomfortable that I can't sit on it for more than 10 minutes without my butt hurting. After that, you're going to need a gel pad. These are not available where I live in Cambodia, so I had to order it from abroad. And this is a 2 centimeter thick pad. They sell them in 1 and 2 centimeter thick. Also, you'll need a razor scraper, a pair of scissors, a ruler, a screwdriver, a staple gun, a pair of pliers, some kind of razor knife, a marker, permanent marker being the best, some foam. This is just very thin foam, a few millimeters thick. You might need a hammer depending on your staple gun. You'll need some spray adhesive and some time and a broom because you're going to have a lot to clean up. So let's walk through how this is going to work. The first step is going to be removing this old cover, and we're going to keep the cover. We're not going to destroy it because this one's in good condition. It's not necessary to destroy it. You're going to flip it over and you'll see that there are staples that go all the way around. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to remove those. So that's what I'm going to do. So you just best to take a flathead screwdriver like this one and just stick it under the staples and just lift. It may be that the staples don't come all the way out right away, or only one side will come out, and that's fine. Just get them up, one side up. Let's go all the way around. All right, so now that all of these staples have been lifted up, now you can take your pair of pliers and just remove all the staples. Okay, at this point, all of the staples have been removed, except one. Okay, and now you've got this nice elastic, at least on this Ninja, this nice elastic strap on the end to really help it hold its shape. But in the meanwhile, you're just gonna take this and it just slips right off. Just peel it right off, no problem. And here you have the cover, and you see it's very clean, it's in good condition, so just going to reuse it. This is the part right here that we're going to alter. This gel pad is a 2 centimeters thick, which is pretty thick, and I made it pretty large because I'm gonna replace a big piece of the foam that's in here. So the first thing that you probably should do is cut some of this extra plastic off, and then so you can more easily see what you're working with, and then fit it and decide what shape you're going to want. Now, if you're wondering why it is that I don't just take the plastic off completely, it's because both sides of this particular brand of gel, I don't know what brand it is, to be honest, both sides of the brand of this brand of gel are very sticky, very tacky, and so you definitely want to leave this cover on, this plastic coating, until you are absolutely ready to install it. So at this point, you're going to take your gel pad and you'll set it on top of your seat. And from there, you just want to kind of decide what type of fit that you want. Please note that it is okay for the gel to bend around corners like you're seeing right here. It will stick okay, especially with the cover on top. At this point in the game, now your art skills kind of come into play here. And unfortunately, I have very few art skills, so hopefully you won't be too horrified by the quality of my lines. That being said, this is a point where you can draw a line, and then if you don't like it, draw another line. People aren't going to see the lines when this cover is on top. And it's kind of like a haircut, where you can cut too little of your hair, and then if you don't like it, you can cut some more hair. But, once the hair has been cut, you can't put it back on your head. And the same is true with the gel, where if you cut too little, you can just go back later and you can cut a little more. But if you cut too much, you got some problems. Please note that you can also cut this with a normal pair of scissors. It cuts pretty easily, even though it's kind of thick. If at this point you're happy with the basic shape of your gel, more or less, you can then put the gel on top of the seat and take a permanent marker and then just trace an outline all the way around the shape of the gel. Now that you have the outline of your gel pad on the seat, then you'll take a ruler and using your marker, you will make a grid line that goes all the way across and all the way front to back as well. And this will just guide you as you remove some of the material a little bit later. Now you'll take a straight razor and just cut all the way around the outline of the gel pad and then also the entire grid that you have marked into the seat. This particular Ninja gel is actually very difficult to cut. It wants to tear and it doesn't really want to cut. It's very plasticky, rubbery foam, but just go ahead and cut all the way around. So at this point, I'm going to take a utility knife. I'm going to set it to the depth that I want the gel to be at, and I'm going to cut along the grid again to make it the right depth. Now, my depth is going to be just such that the gel is going to sit just a little bit higher than the surface of the seat, and that's because I want my rear end to be in contact with the gel and not the super hard foam. Now, one of the problems with this Ninja gel is that the foam is very resistant to being cut, and it's almost like a rubber or a highly plasticized foam. And so as a result, it's going to kind of tear sometimes more than it's going to want to cut, and you just have to try to work with that to the best of your ability. Once you're done with all of your cutting, now you're going to take a couple of those little chunks out and you're just going to test to make sure with a piece of scrap gel that the cuts you're making are of more or less the correct height. Now, if they're not exactly correct, if they're making the gel sit a little bit high, that's okay. That's something you can change. Just don't cut too deeply. At this point, I found out that the gel on this particular type of seat is almost impossible to cut out flat, and so it's just better to take a pair of pliers and then just start to pull the pieces out. And so that's what I'm going to do all the way around. Now you'll have what looks like a pile of croutons to the side of your seat. And you'll notice that the part that you have cut out now is not very smooth on the bottom. And again, that's due to the fact that this particular type of foam is very resistant to cutting, but it can be worn away. So what you're going to do is take the flat razor blade and you're just going to scrape it along the bottom of the foam seat pan until you've got a relatively smooth surface. It doesn't have to be smooth as glass, it just has to be pretty smooth. So that's what you're going to see here. Once you think you're pretty happy with the state of the bottom of the pan, then you can do a test fit for your gel. When it doesn't fit correctly, then you can make your foam cut a little bit deeper, or you can trim little bits here and there out of the foam or the gel until you're happy with your result. Once you are very happy with the way everything fits, then you are going to spray the entire top with a liberal amount of spray adhesive, like this. Now take your thin foam that you have cut to a little bit bigger than the seat, and you are going to firmly just push all the way around the surface of this seat to make sure that the spray adhesive comes into full contact with the seat and the foam. Make sure that there are no wrinkles. That's pretty important. And try not to get the stuff on your hands because it does not want to come off easily. Now take a pair of scissors and you're just going to cut all the way around the foam so that it pretty closely matches with the edge of the seat. Again, if you aren't completely sure, you can always cut it a little bit too long and then cut it a little bit shorter later. Better to take off too little than to take off too much. Oh, look at that. It's already so much softer. So now all you have to do is to reinstall the original seat cover. You just slide the seat cover over in the original orientation, and then you're going to turn it over and just try to stretch it out as much as you can. Now, it is going to be covering a little bit more material than before, so it might be just a little bit tighter, but that's going to be okay. It doesn't matter. Just go ahead and really stretch everything out. Once you think you've got it pretty tight, then just flip it over and make sure that everything is centered. It may be a little bit loose on the edges, and that's fine. You just haven't stretched it further and stapled it. Now you're going to just flip everything over and you're going to stretch out the edges of the cover quite a lot, and then you'll take a staple gun and just start stapling. Work your way around, stretching as you go, and you can flip it over from time to time and make sure it's looking the way that you want it to. And here we are. This is the refurbished seat with the 2 centimeter gel pad. It is already just so much softer. So much softer. The staples are pretty clean here in the back. You can see the outline of the gel just a little bit. As I said earlier in the video, I tried to make it stick up a little bit on purpose so that my butt was in contact with the gel more than the hard foam. As far as the shape of the seat, it's just about the same. It's perhaps just a little bit softer or rounder along the edges because of the 3mm foam I put on there, but it just feels absolutely great. And I cannot wait to put this on my motorcycle and take it for a ride this weekend and see just how nice it is. So if you try to do this yourself, I hope this video helps you a little bit, and be safe driving.